Hello everybody, welcome to the MaffmanJones movie show. I am your host, as always, Johnny Bravo, and today's featured movie is The King of Staten Island, directed by Judd Apatow, written by Judd, Dave Cyrus, and Pete Davidson, starring Pete Davidson, Marissa Tomei, Judd Apatow, Ricky Velez, Bill Burr, Steve Buscemi. The list goes on and on, full of amazing comedians and people. The latest from Judd Apatow is about Scott, played by Pete Davidson, who is aimless in life, but he wants to be a tattoo artist. He lost his father years and years ago to a hotel fire, and he's been living with his sister and his mother, but his sister's going away to college. He is forced to face an array of conflicts in his life when Bill Burr enters the picture as his firefighter who wants to date his mother, and we go from there. Now, this is wild to me, because I'm reviewing a movie that stars a good friend of mine, a brother of mine, who I've been friends with, and I'm lucky to have been friends with, still, for over 10 years. And we've still kept in contact, we still hang out, and I'm lucky that he lives on the island, Staten Island, because we both live on Staten Island, whoa, so we can still hang out, and I still see him, and I love him like a brother, and I have to review this movie, and I'm doing my best to not look at it through rose-tinted glasses, but this movie isn't the kind of movie you would look at with rose-tinted glasses, I feel like. It's a personal story that isn't literally about the events of Pete's life, but it mirrors the events of Pete's life in ways they has changed and altered things here and there to make it different. I watched it, I liked it. I watched it again, I liked it more. And I do think this is a more laid-back, reserved Judd Apatow and crew making this movie, and knowing Dave, one of the writers of the movie too, Dave Cyrus, he knows Pete like a book, and it's crazy to see the evolution of Pete's acting, and I really think he brings a lot of vulnerability to this role, playing Scott. Scott is the name of his late father who passed away in 9/11. You get a lot of these tender moments with him, angering moments, and you just kind of feel bad for the character Scott. He really means well, by all means. After a bad situation or two, he is forced to face himself and really make a change. And it's in a way very inspiring, and it deals head on with multiple issues that people have all over the world with mental illness. And I was telling people, I think it's going to be a really inspiring movie for a lot of people. And whether Pete knows it or not, if he watches this, he doesn't really have social media. But to the audience who watches this, I really think it's going to change how a lot of people look at themselves. Younger kids especially who look up to Pete. But it is hard to put into words what it's been like to watch Pete grow from 2010 when he first started doing stand-up. I remember being in his room, he would write notes on his hand, and he'd have just notes all over his wall, and we used to listen to like the Bill Burr podcast on the Monday morning, and it's crazy to me. Now Bill Burr's in a movie with him. His trajectory from being in the room writing notes like that to coming here has been surreal, to say the least. We used to make these skits all the time with other friends on Staten Island, and he always had the most batshit crazy ideas, and we always collaborated, but it was always, you could always tell he was the lead anchor of these situations and these little skits. And looking back at them, seeing where like 2008, 2009 to now, it really is hard to put into words. But I'm super proud of the dude, and I really think he brings a lot to this role. And he has more than a handful of moments to really shine and really bring something to this that people haven't seen from him. On top of Pete's performance, he's surrounded by so much talent involved. Bill Burr, I've never really seen Bill Burr have this much involvement in a role in a movie. Correct me if I'm wrong, but he's always been in minor roles. But this really shows that he has potential to be a really good leading role and a leading actor. He has a lot of dramatic chops, and not in the most, he yells a lot. That's a lot of the Bill Burr charm, is him, the way he delivers and screams in his Boston accent. But his subtler moments, some of them are very, what's the word I'm looking for? Touching. Marissa Tomei brings a lot of nuance and gravitas to the role of Scott's mother. Belle Powley as Kelsey, Scott's girlfriend, also has less screen time than one may expect, but she has an impact in every scene that she is part of, and she does really wonders in the story once you look at the whole thing, once you've seen the movie. Judd Apatow is really good. Steve Buscemi isn't in the movie as much either, like Belle Powley, but his impact on this movie is momentous. And he has a scene in this movie in a bar that I think is one of the best scenes I've seen. Just period. It's probably one of my favorite scenes that I've seen from a movie. just putting it out there. I think it's great. And I have to shout out Ricky Velez too for a genuinely pleasant surprise of a performance. I really liked him in this too. Really, everybody in this cast shines, whether it's a minor role or a major role. And knowing Pete, it's because he wants them to shine just as much as he does in the movie, if not more. In comparison to past Judd Apatow movies, this is a lot more laid back and reserved, and it has a lot more of an indie feel to it. It feels less like a comedy movie and more like an actual indie character coming of age drama. There's a lot more drama than I expected in this, and in a good way. And I'll get to that later, but I think it really forms into something beautiful in the later half of the movie. A lot of people are going to probably rent this because it's a Judd Apatow movie and they're looking for comedy, and Pete is primarily known for comedy, and you get that. There are a lot of moments where I was laughing, a lot of moments where I was belly busting, just from things that he says, and just the dark humor that is involved here, and just the way the characters interact with each other. Bill Burr, the way if you know Bill Burr, he does exactly Bill Burr things, on top of being a candid and sweet performer when it comes to dramatic moments. But you get comedy all over the place. It ranges in all forms. But the best part about all the comedy, most of it does come at the service of the story. It all feels like it's naturally and organically coming through these characters, and that goes back to the writing. It's very sharp and one of the biggest strengths of this movie. The tone is very consistent, and it doesn't feel like two movies, but I do genuinely like the second half of this movie better because of what forms from the consequences and actions of Pete's character, what we learn and what we see transpire once he gets to a certain place in his life. I never do, so I'm not going to spoil anything, but there are characters that have sprinkles of moments in the first half of the movie that come into more focus in the latter half, and once we learn more about these particular characters, and we see all of them surrounded with Scott, who is going on a real transformative journey at this point, creates some transcendingly emotional moments in subtle ways that hit you through the dialogue, maybe even the music in the background, which the music in this movie is so good. And yeah, you just kind of, whether it's the swelling and the buildup of getting to this point, or just the emotions are so good because these actors are just so great at acting, it really does hit. To me, the back half of this movie is poignant and perfect. Just as much as the first half is entertaining in the sense that you're getting to know these characters, you're learning about the world of Staten Island, and you're getting rapid fire moments, whether they're improv or written, moments of comedy and humor just thrown at you minute by minute, second by second. It leaves open a lot of loose ends, and some people may not like the fact that a lot of characters are kind of just not left on the back burner, but things are left unresolved. But I think it's purposely left unresolved so you can interpret what happens next. And I think a lot of the best movies out there do that well. I think this movie does do that well in letting you think about, from this journey that's happened from beginning to end, what happens now. And speaking of the music, I think it's really well done. It's really well implemented into scenes, whether it's montages or just in the background. Just a few examples in there. Kid Cudi's there, Creedence Clearwater Revival, and The Wait. There are a lot of these musical choices make sense to me, especially. I mean, it's no secret that Pete's a big fan of Kid Cudi, but even like Creedence Clearwater Revival, like, I expected that to be in this movie somewhere, and when it showed up, I was like, yeah, makes perfect sense. But I'm really happy to report that my friend's movie is really good. It's genuine, it's heartfelt, it's also funny, and it ranges from being really funny to just giving you chuckles and just having some levity where it's most necessary. But most surprisingly, it's a very dramatic journey. It's a movie that pays tribute to firefighters. It's a movie that's a beautiful tribute to Pete's family. They should be proud, and I'm pretty sure they are proud, because it does incredibly honest, poignant, beautiful service to Scott, Pete's father, and his mother too, Amy. And it's hard to find the words for this because it's just weird talking about it. It's like, I know Pete, like he's a friend of mine, so like talking about it like from a critic's lens, I guess, it just feels weird. But I genuinely really like this movie, and I really do think people are gonna really be surprised by this. I would say go watch it. I was gonna say go watch it anyway because I'm supporting my friend, but I take that out of the equation. This is a good movie. There's so many more things I could talk about, and so many more things I could say and talk about a lot of the characters I didn't really get into, and a lot of the story elements that parallel Pete's life, and a lot of things I think Judd did and Robert Elswit did with the director of photography, his cinematography. a lot more things I could really get into and really delve deep into, but this video would be 45 minutes long. Whew. But now I want to know from all you boys and girls, what you think of The King of Staten Island? Let me know in the comments down below. If you have seen it, if you haven't been here, do you want to come to Staten Island now? What's your opinion on the island, and what do you think just in general? Thank you for taking time out of your day to watch me talk about movies for the past few minutes. If you feel that way and you haven't yet, you could like the video, you could subscribe if you haven't already, ring the bell so you don't miss notifications from me. You could follow me on all social medias at MaffmanJones or John Maffio, and make a comment down below. Let's have a fun discussion. And that's it. Thank you again. I'll see you guys soon. I love you all. Continue to stay safe. Yep, this is the end of the road again. What comes out now? What's next? Like, they keep delaying things like a couple more weeks. Like, Tenet got delayed to like late July from like mid-July. What's the next? I don't know. I'm just gonna rest now. I'm gonna sleep. Bye-bye.